So the FDA is pulling the COVID shots, limited, but they are doing it. FDA to limit COVID shot approval, and it's only supposed to be for people over 65 and those with special medical conditions. But there's a catch. Until today, as Paul Thacker says, the U.S. government recommended 6-month-old infants get a COVID vaccine. The FDA now limits COVID vaccines to people who are 65 and over and those at high risk of serious illness. Below our recommendations for the rest of the world, America was a complete vaccine free. So the rest of the world has been doing this. Australia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, even the UK. You have to be 75 years or older. So they were all, we're the latecomer. You know why? Because Big Pharma owns our country more than those other countries. That's why. Because we're the only country that allows Big Pharma to put ads on our television news shows or in our newspapers. Those other countries don't. They're not allowed to do that. And that's why they had more sensible COVID vaccine policies than we did. And that's why it's taken so long. And so here's a guy who is now in the working at the FDA. Now, I've showed you this guy before when he lied about COVID. He lied about the emergency use authorization, but he has told some truths about COVID too. So he's one of those, he's what they call a limited hangout guy. And so now he's working at the FDA, and listen to what he had to say. He's now the head of the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research at the FDA. His name is Vinay Prasad, and I've done videos about him before showing you how he's lied about RFK, and now he's working for RFK. Isn't that interesting? So here we go.
So based on prior immunologic endpoints, that means proof that the vaccine can create antibodies in people, companies can apply for, and we will consider approval for 65 and older and or people at high risk of severe COVID-19. So if you're older than 65 or you're high risk for COVID-19, we're going to use the immunologic endpoints we've been using to grant approval. This is a tremendously broad category. This effectively means 100 to 200 million Americans, those with the most favorable benefit to harm balance, will be covered by such approvals. The CDC has a list of the conditions that qualify as high risk for severe COVID-19. You can peruse the list. It's also in our New England Journal paper. It is a broad list. There's a lot of things on this list. I'll just highlight a few. Obesity is on this list. Physical inactivity is on this list. Mood disorders, including depression, is on this list, and all immunocompromised conditions are on this list. In other words, at-risk Americans can be reassured that they will be covered by such approval.
So that means basically anybody can still get it and your insurance will cover it. That's really what that means. And as our guest of the show, friend of the show, Mary Talley Bowden points out, he's very careful not to mention that pregnant women are on the list of high-risk patients because he knows people will freak out. But they are on the list. Pregnant women will continue to get these shots without placebo-controlled trials. He's doing that. So at last count, 14% of pregnant women were getting the COVID shots still. And he knows what that means because I know what that means. Warning, if you are obese, this is considered a risk factor and you will be encouraged to take boosters. By the way, don't forget that the two people in charge of the vaccine department at the FDA resigned over the boosters. They thought the booster program was so corrupt and so wrong that they resigned. And they had been there for 35 years. And guess what they did? They let them go, and then they put two lackeys in there who went along with whatever Big Pharma said. And they're still there. The FDA is to limit COVID vaccine approval to Americans over the age of 65, those with medical conditions. Note, the list of risk factors is long. And there is no current evidence of benefit from boosters, but they will continue to push you to booster up. And here is, so I have to tell you that the boosters are safe and effective, and they will help you. They won't stop you from getting COVID, but they're going to keep you from getting seriously ill, hospitalized, or dead. So that's fantastic. Here's the long list of if you have these conditions, you're still going to be encouraged by the FDA to get the boosters. This is the FDA. It's going to encourage you. So that's it. It was up until 5 seconds ago, they were telling you to give it to a 6-month-old baby. Up until 5 seconds ago. They estimate more than 100 million Americans are still going to be eligible for the shots. 100 million. So that's a third of the country. Basically, a third of the country is still going to be eligible for the shots, which means that that means that money's going to go to big pharma. That's what that means. In past years, the shots have been broadly recommended, including to children and to generally healthy people. It was not immediately clear whether healthy people under 65 would be able to get their shots or whether insurers would pay for them. What they did was they got around that. Well, we're just going to pretend like most people are unhealthy. And so they'll be covered by the insurance, so Big Pharma gets the money. That's what that is. That's 100 million Americans. If they do not make it permissive, meaning that individuals who are not in this risk group, it is likely now that payers will not pay for the vaccine. So, okay. Therefore, in a sense, it is equivalent of taking away the vaccine from someone. So there's people still yelling about this. The change, which top Trump health officials had earlier forecast in vaguer terms, comes just 2 days before the agency's independent advisors are set to make recommendations on selecting the formula that vaccine makers should use to potentially adjust their shots to target the strain of the coronavirus currently circulating the country. The new framework will also seek for vaccine makers to conduct a randomized controlled trial before the agency signs off on coronavirus shot for healthy people. So they're still saying they're going to sign off. We need you to do an actual randomized trial, though. And I'm sure that's not going to be rigged. I'm sure that trial is going to be done on the up and up. When possible, the agency will encourage manufacturers to complete such trials. They will encourage them to complete such trials after they get the agency's approval for a vaccine for high-risk groups. After. Did I just read that correct? Does it say after? So they're going to approve it, but then they want them to do the trial after it gets approval. That doesn't seem suspect at all, does it? The FDA will approve vaccines for high-risk persons and at the same time demand robust gold standard data on persons at low risk. The clinical trials will inform future it's unbelievable. So this is not what this is not what people voted for. This is a little bit. It's a little better. It's a little better. During a presentation Tuesday afternoon, the FDA leaders did not directly say whether healthy people younger than 65 would be eligible to get the shots. Vinay Prasad said the agency is interested in companies conducting. So we already did this. Okay. In recent weeks, Trump administration has questioned the testing of vaccine safety for coronavirus shots, introducing uncertainty over whether an updated shot would be available in the fall. RFK, the nation's health secretary and founder of a prominent anti-vax, this is the Washington Post, has said he intends to shift the way vaccines are tested. A notion that has sparked concern among medical experts. You mean he wants to have real tests he wants to have better safety testing? Oh my God. And so you see Washington Post gets a lot of money from Big Pharma. That's what that is.
Yes, Big Pharma experts.
That's right. Ian Weissman says the possibility that COVID vaccines would become unavailable for kids alarmed pediatricians. I bet it didn't. I see children admitted to the hospital with COVID, and they're not all high-risk children. If we have effective vaccines that prevent illness, use them. Okay. Children are at less of a risk from COVID than they are from the flu. And these guys are out there shilling for Big Pharma. Just so you know. Okay. Maha. Come see us live in Los Angeles, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, London, Liverpool, Birmingham. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.